ỌDADEƐ Health Matters is a radio program designed to address various health-related issues as we go through our daily lives. As the saying goes, do take care of your body. It is the only place you have to live. Join us and our team of ỌDADEƐ medical professionals as we address various health matters that affect you and the people you care about. My name is Dr. Samuel Nyama. I will be your host on ỌDADEƐ Health Matters, along with my co-host, Dr. Awuni, live on ỌDADEƐ Radio Online, this and every Wednesday from 2 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Do join us.
There's a place in your heart, and I know that it is love. And this place is much brighter than tomorrow.
Enlightening you on topical health issues across the globe. And yes, this beautiful afternoon, I have with me in the studios a distinguished guest who will be taking us through a very important topic. Yes, it is the 5th of April 2023. It is a new month, and God has already started showering His blessings on us. Last month was March. Many of us know it as the Ghana month, where we celebrated the Ghanaian heritage. March is not just for Ghana alone. It is a month that we spent educating, informing, and enlightening people on a condition. What is this condition I'm talking about? I'm talking about a condition called colorectal cancer. You've noticed that we've been talking about cancers a lot. It is very important. It is imperative that we talk about them because, like we keep saying, early diagnosis is often key. And it is one of cancers are one of the major causes of morbidity and mortality, the major causes of death across the globe. So yes, if education can help us identify them early and put in measures to nip them in the bud, it is right and it is proper that we here at ỌDADEƐ Health Matters, we do just that. So yes, today we are discussing colorectal cancer, and I have with me in the studios a specialist surgeon, currently with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. He's worked in various areas. As time goes on, we'll get to talk about who he is more. He's actually a big brother as well. We fellowship in the same church. When I was a medical student, he was one of the people who held my hand, taught me, and guided me. So it is a great honor to have him in the studios today, educating, informing, and enlightening us on colorectal cancer. He goes by the name Dr. Leslie Issa Adam Zakaria. Dr. Adam Zakaria, a good afternoon to you, and you're welcome to the studios of ÅDADEƐ Radio.
Good afternoon to you, my brother.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure to be here.
Oh, we are grateful you made time to come. I was just speaking with him of he's coming straight from theater, right? Yes.
Yeah.
He's made time to be here despite, all the responsibilities that he has. Someone who was in theater on a hot Wednesday afternoon like this, he's supposed to actually be working, but he decided, let me spend time to educate the people so that at least we can reduce the burden of this disease. You're welcome once again.
Thank you very much, my brother.
Yeah, how has it been?
It's been good.
How is the workload in Kolebu Teaching Hospital?
Just busy, but we enjoy it. We are used to it. So.
Yeah, he's enjoying it. He's enjoying it. So those of you, especially the students also listening to us, if you want to be a good surgeon like him, you should enjoy what you do, and you never have to work a day in your life. Dr. Adam Zakaria is definitely enjoying what he does as a specialist surgeon with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. So yes, we're going to be talking about colorectal cancer, but even before we do that, I'd want to remind you that this is a very interactive show. I'm sure you are listening to us via our app, the Zeno FM radio app that you can get from zeno.fm/ОДАДЕƐ Radio. You can get this app from the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. This current interview or discussion is also being streamed live on Facebook and on YouTube at ỌDADEƐ Radio. You can interact with us via our various social media handles. We are at ỌDADEƐ Radio on Twitter. We are at ỌDADEƐ Radio Ghana on Facebook, or just ỌDADEƐ Radio. And on Instagram, we are at ỌDADEƐ Radio. So be sure to connect with us, interact with us, send us your questions, your views, your comments, your suggestions, and we would interact with you. Of course, this is brought to you by kind courtesy of ỌDADEƐ 81 and the ỌDADEƐ Medical Guild, who have been our major sponsors. And my name is Dr. Nafa. I would be in the studios with Dr. Leslie Isa Adam Zakaria. The reason I keep pausing is because I always want to add ỌDADEƐ to your name. Because I feel like you look like an ỌDADEƐ, you practice like an ỌDADEƐ, you work like, you do everything like an ÅDADEƐ.
And most of my friends are ỌDADEƐ.
ỌDADEƐ, exactly. So I always want to add ỌDADEƐ to your name. So it's the reason I keep pausing every now and then, right? Yes, let's get to know about you. Since you are not an ỌDADEƐ, I'm sure I would petition the global president and see about conferring on you an honorary ỌDADEÄ-ship, right? I don't know if you accept it.
That's great.
So let's get to know about your high school days. Let's get to know which school you attended, when you left school, and how the experience was like in your school.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. I've enjoyed my few minutes here already. I attended St. Charles Minor Seminary.
Oh, okay.
I didn't get opportunity to attend normal secondary school. I attended a minor seminary. I was trained more of a seminarian kind of, you know. I attended a lot of chapel, morning, evening, and Angelus.
Oh, okay.
You know, so, but I mean, after a while, you get used to the routine. So, we didn't get to leave campus a lot. We saw town occasionally, and it was okay. Yeah.
St. Charles Minor Seminary.
Yeah, St. Charles Minor Seminary.
Okay, that's in Tamale,
Tamale,
yeah. Also a boys' school.
Boys.
Single sex.
Yeah.
Yes, and I'm sure the experience would have been like what we experienced in Presec.
Yeah.
Probably more severe because it was a minor seminary.
Yes, and our numbers were limited. In fact, when I was in school, the whole school were 184.
Wow.
The whole school.
From
Form 1 to Form 3. Yeah.
Wow.
184. So it was a small community. We knew everybody. Yeah.
I'm sure you know now, formerly Captain Al-Hassan, now Major Al-Hassan.
Yes.
I'm sure. I don't know if he was your mate.
Senior,
okay, one of your seniors. Okay. Oh, that's great. So St. Charles Minor Seminary in Tamale. When did you leave school?
2001.
2001. Okay, I don't know any of the ỌDADEÄs who left Presec in 2001. I would have seen if you knew any of them.
No, Alhaji Hussein, Yakubu Hussein.
Okay. Alhaji Hussein, Yakubu. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Hussein. He's a specialist emergency medicine.
Okay.
He's in Confanochi.
Oh, okay. All right. Were you classmates?
Yeah, we're mates.
Okay. Confanochi, that is.
We schooled in
University of Ghana Medical School. Oh, okay.
Yeah, there's Dr. Dakun.
Okay. Plastic surgery.
No, he's in Takwa.
Okay. Okay.
Tako, Apinto Hospital, Takwa. ỌDADEÄ, and a couple of them, Doctor. You know, a lot of them know them by their nicknames.
Yeah. You can mention the nicknames. I mean,
that's Cronus.
We'll find out who that is. We'll find out who that is.
The anesthetist in Kolebu.
Okay. Dr. Kowa.
Okay.
Okay.
I think it was a few years behind us.
Okay.
Yeah, salaried Benjamin Ayeboa Salah. A couple of them.
Yeah. Talking about University of Ghana Medical School.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
And I know you held a position there. What were you? What was your position in the University of Ghana Medical School?
Yeah, I was president of the Students Association.
Wow. Wow. That's impressive.
2007, 2008.
And it was through your hard work that we got the place called Med Diner, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, we see your name there.
Yes.
It's a great job you did. It's a great job you did. Congratulations. So a president of the University of Ghana Medical Students Association back in the late 2000s, right? 2010s. Thereabout. You completed in 2010. So this is a president who was not just looking out for the position itself, but someone who left something for posterity. I came in 2012. I got to Kolebu campus in 2014, 2015, and I got to benefit from your hard work, your diligence, and then your sacrifices. God bless you so much.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Let's talk a bit about your family before we delve into get to know what colorectal cancer is.
Well, I'm married. My wife is Linda.
Okay.
We have 3 kids. 6, 4, 2. 6, 4, 2.
Even numbers.
Yeah.
Evenly distributed. Okay, Linda Adam Zakaria.
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of her. Very beautiful woman. I want you to tell us a bit more about her.
Oh.
It's like you're keeping things to yourself. I want to hear a bit about her. I've seen pictures of her, very pretty, lovely, elegant.
She's cool. She's been very supportive. Yeah.
Okay. Where did you meet?
I saw her on TV. She was taking part in a beauty pageant.
Exactly.
And I went to look for her.
Okay.
Simple as that.
Yeah, Dr. Adam Zakaria did not want to say all of this, but yes, he's married a beauty queen, not just in the physical attributes, but someone I've actually met her in person, a very lovely personality as well, lovely character. And Linda, wherever you are, we say thank you so much for holding our brother down, for keeping him at bay, and not letting him run around. We're really grateful for giving us the 3 beautiful children, and for taking care of the family and allowing him to do the best that he can do to serve Mother Ghana and the world for that matter. God bless you so much, Madam Mrs. Linda Adam Zakaria. Okay, so we'll talk about colorectal cancer now. Let's get to know what colorectal cancer is. Colorectal cancer, this hot afternoon, we are spending this Wednesday afternoon discussing colorectal cancer. What exactly is colorectal cancer?
So, colorectal cancer simply means cancers of the colon and rectum.
Okay.
So, the colon is a large intestine, and it extends, it becomes the rectum,
okay,
and then the anus. So, when we eat, food falls into our stomach,
okay,
through the esophagus, and then it moves into the small intestines, then the large intestines, then the rectum, and then the anus. So cancers that arise from the colon and the rectum, we call them colorectal cancer. They have a lot of similarities, so that's why we just put them together as colorectal cancers. Their treatments have a lot of similarities too, so we just see them as one disease entity,
okay,
colorectal cancers. So cancers of the rectum and colon.
The colon.
Yeah.
Okay. We've discussed not colorectal cancer, but we've discussed cancers a lot on this very network. For the sake of those who are listening to us for the very first time, can you explain to us what cancers are? Because there are some people who are out there, they've heard the name cancer, they can't really put a finger on what exactly this disease is.
So simply put, cancer is when cells grow out of control.
Okay.
So the normal physiology is that once you grow, develop to a certain stage, you die, you are replaced, But for cancer cells, they refuse to die, and they just continue to grow out of proportion and out of control. So we are unable to stop them from growing. They just continue growing. That's a cancer. So the body, they are able to outsmart the body's mechanisms in preventing them from growing excessively. So they grow out of control, basically. So when cells begin to divide, multiply, and grow out of control, we say it has become a cancer. So when it occurs in the colon or the rectum, we say that you have a colorectal cancer.
Very simply put and beautifully put, so that we all understand what they are. So basically, cancers are cells that grow and are not regulated. I mean, they outsmart the body's regulatory mechanisms, and so they continue to grow. What we often call programmed cell death, apoptosis, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, the biology students listening to us would know what this is. Exactly. What Dr. Adam Zakaria is telling us, that these cells have decided to become delinquent, almost like a delinquent child. They outgrow their boundaries, and they also outgrow their source. So that is what cancers are. And so therefore colorectal cancers are cells that have refused to be regulated, occurring within the colon, which is the large intestine, and then the rectum, which is just an extension of the colon. Okay, why are we spending this hot afternoon discussing colorectal cancers? How common is it in Ghana? Is it something that is very common?
Yes, thank you very much. In fact, we always say that colorectal cancers are far commoner than we see and than we think. They are very common. In fact, the statistics is that they are the 3rd commonest cancers worldwide, and they are 2nd commonest cause of cancer deaths, which means that they are extremely common. It's just that if you don't find yourself in an environment where you deal with colorectal cancers, you would assume that there are not many. But I mean, for the past 8 months, there's not been a day I've gone to the ward and not seen a colorectal cancer case. For the past 8 months? Yes. So it's common, especially if you work in an environment where you manage colorectal cancer. You will see a lot of them in various stages. So it's very common. That's a thing. And in fact, the numbers are increasing.
Okay.
The numbers are increasing, and that's why we think that it is right to create a lot of awareness about colorectal cancer. We've taken advantage of the colorectal cancer month of March to create a lot of awareness about it, and we are hoping that we would continue. Anytime we have opportunity to talk about cancers, we'll mention colorectal cancer, and then anytime we have opportunity to talk about colorectal cancer, we will not miss the opportunity. They are very common.
Very common.
So, for instance, worldwide, it's said that every year 1.9 million cases are diagnosed.
Wow.
1.9, that's a lot.
1.9 million people are told the terrifying news that they have colorectal cancer.
In Africa, particularly sub-Saharan Africa, for instance, we see about 50,000, 60,000 cases per 100,000 of population, and that's really a lot.
Yeah,
and that's really a lot. So we are seeing so many cases in a year. For instance, in Ghana, roughly at a national level, we see about 3,000 to 4,000 cases per year, and that's
3,000 to 4,000 cases per year.
Yeah, and that's
Wow.
a lot.
Wow.
So we are seeing so many colorectal cancer cases. We think that in the past it wasn't as common. Maybe 40 years, 50 years ago, it wasn't as common. But now, because our diet is gradually changing to the Western diet, what we are seeing, the numbers we are seeing are increasing.
Okay.
In the past, it was as if colorectal cancers are cancers that are for the urban areas, for the Western societies.
Okay.
So, for instance, in the West, in America, for instance, we see that the incidence per 100,000, per every 100,000 population, is about 25.
That is the number of cases occurring,
per
new cases occurring per 100,000
100,000
people selected.
Yeah, it's about 25.
Okay.
In our part of the world, we put it in fact, for the 50 years, it was about 2 to 3. In fact, places like Mali, Niger, they were recording like 1.8, 1.5 cases per 100,000.
Okay.
But in Nigeria, Ghana, we're about 3. Now it's gone up to about 4, 5 per 100,000.
Okay.
As opposed to the 25 of the West. But we have noticed that our numbers are gradually increasing towards the numbers that we are seeing in the West, and it's mainly because we are adopting some of the risk factors for colorectal cancer. But we are adopting some of the risk factors.
Third commonest cancer in the world. In Ghana, we record about 3,000. Is that 3,000 to 4,000
cases? Yeah, per
3,000 per year.
Yeah.
So we are looking about. We have 365 days in a year. We are looking about how many? We are looking about 10 or so every day. We are looking about recording 10 cases every day. That's quite a lot. And if you also consider the fact that quite a number of them don't even make it to the hospital, they mean that our numbers may even be higher than that.
Exactly. In fact, that's what we think, that we are not diagnosing enough. A lot more people are suffering or are dying from colorectal cancer than we are recording.
Yeah. So you just mentioned that we're having increasing numbers. One of the reasons being that we've adopted a Western lifestyle. And you mentioned that we are adopting, in quotes, their risk factors as well. That means that there are risk factors that can predispose one to developing colorectal cancer. What are these risk factors? Can you enumerate them for us?
Yeah, we have a lot of risk factors. We have those that we can modify, those that we can do something about. There are other risk factors that we cannot do much about. So I'll want to dwell more on those we can do something about. Okay, so diet. I mentioned diet. Diet is extremely important. It is said that when your diet is high in red meat is meat basically from mammals. The caterers describe red meat as meat that when it's raw, it's red. When you cook, it becomes dark. Okay, we just say that red meat is meat from mammals or flightless birds like the ostrich, birds that do not fly, like ostrich. So pork, beef, meat from goats, meat from sheep. Now these are what we describe as red meat, and they are very high in myoglobin. This red meat has been found to be a major risk factor for colorectal cancer.
Okay.
And because in the gut, in the intestines, bacteria acts on it and converts parts of it to what we call carcinogens. And when these agents stay long or stay in contact with the mucosa, that's the intestines,
the lining of the intestine,
they gradually irritate it and then puts you at a high risk of developing colorectal cancer. So red meat is extremely important. Meat that is high in cholesterol, meat that is high in cholesterol would increase your risk of colorectal cancer. So people who eat a lot of processed meats are at a relatively increased risk. Processed meat, which we refer to sausage, corned beef, hot dogs. These are things that have been found to increase the risk of you developing colorectal cancer. And it's worth mentioning so that we are mindful of this major risk when we indulge in that. So another risk factor is alcohol. Excessive intake of alcohol, not just alcohol, but excessive intake of alcohol. So usually anytime I mention excessive intake of alcohol, the question, how much is excessive? It's very relative and it depends on the individual, but generally what we say is that if, let's say, we consider beer 5% alcohol, if you take about 2 units, 1 unit will be about 330 mils. So let's say the mini bottle. If you take 2 of the mini bottles a day, it's assumed for a man, it's assumed to be enough. Anything beyond that is considered excessive. So for a lady, taking 1 mini bottle a day is okay. Taking more than that is considered excessive. So 2 units for a man, 1 unit for a woman.
And we are looking at 5%. That's
exactly. That's fine. That's just beer 5%. So anything more than that, then you can look about how you relate it. But basically, for general education, that's how we try to simplify it. 2 bottles of mini club beer, and then 1 bottle of mini club beer. So that's the risk. Taking excessive amounts of alcohol puts you at a higher risk. Smoking, even if it's a stick a day, is considered a risk factor. Smoking is considered a risk factor. People who do not exercise enough, people who are not physically active, are at a relatively higher risk than people who are more active. Overweight and obesity too have been found to be major risk factors. So people who are obese, people who are overweight, have been found to be at a higher risk of developing colorectal cancer than somebody who is not overweight or obese. So basically, these are things that we can actively do something about. We can modify, we can control, we can reduce our risk if we deal with these things I've mentioned: the diet, the smoking, the alcohol, and then the weight and physical activity. So if we do not pay attention to these things, you might indirectly put yourself at risk of developing colorectal cancer. There are others that we say we cannot do much about. They are the non-modifiable risk factors, like growing older. Age. As you grow older, your risk increases. So we say that when you are less than 45, you are at low risk. When you attain 45 and above, you are at average risk. So just by growing older, your risk increases. That you cannot do anything about that. Being male, we've noticed that colorectal cancers are relatively commoner in males and females. So being a male is a risk factor, but you cannot do anything about that. There's what we call family history. So if in your family somebody has had any cancer before, but particularly colorectal cancer, then you are at an increased risk of developing colorectal cancer. So, but this you cannot control that. But the advantage is that if you work on those factors that you can control, generally you are able to place yourself at a better situation than somebody who doesn't do anything about the modifiable risk factors and decide to just live as if nothing would happen. Could happen.
So these are generally risk factors for developing colorectal cancer.
Yeah.
It means we don't really have a single identity being the cause of colorectal cancer.
Exactly, precisely. I mean, you can't look in somebody's face and say because of this you will develop colorectal cancer, or because of that you will not develop colorectal cancer. We don't know the exact cause of colorectal cancer, but we know that once we know what the risk factors.
That we know how it arises.
Exactly.
We know the things that often come together to lead it.
Exactly. But the exact cause we don't know.
We don't know. Okay. Having spoken about these risk factors, you've mentioned them: diet, especially diet that is rich in red meat, and we're talking about meat of mammals, we're talking about beef, we're talking about chevron, we're talking about pork, we're talking about processed meats as well, sausage, the hot dogs and all that. Are there any protective factors? Let's look at, say, if you are going to go along the path of diet, are there anything that are protective or any other? Yeah. Sure.
So red meat. So we have what we call white meat.
Okay.
So meat from fish and then poultry.
Okay.
Considered it's called white meat.
White meat. Okay.
Now, it has a very low risk of developing colorectal cancer. So it's advisable that if you want to reduce your risk of developing colorectal cancer, then you should consider eating more of white meat than red meat. Okay, eating a diet that is rich in fruits and vegetables.
Okay.
Reduces your risk. A diet that is rich in fiber, high fiber diet, because this will give you bulk.
Okay.
It will give you bulky feces, and bulky feces will not stay too long in the intestines.
Okay.
And because it doesn't stay too long in the intestines, it will reduce the time carcinogenic agents will be in contact with your intestines. So things that can increase your risk of developing the cancer are in the feces. So if the feces stays too long in the intestines, there's more contact hours and there's a higher risk. So if you eat food that's high in fiber, high fiber content, then your risk, you have good bulk, feces doesn't stay too long in the intestines, and your risk is reduced. So these are some of the things that
can be
you can do exactly to help you.
So it means that the longer feces stays in contact with your intestine, the higher your chances of actually developing colorectal cancer. So if you are eating foods that would decrease the transit time, that would increase your ability to pass stools more frequently. It reduces your risk of developing colorectal cancer.
Yes, basically.
So it means that people who are constipated over very long periods can often have an increased risk for developing colorectal cancer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes. I mean, if you look at the contact time, the other advantage of eating food that's rich in fiber is that it reduces the amount of the carcinogenic agents.
Okay.
Generally, you don't have too much of it in the system, and then because the transit time is reduced, it reduces the contact with the carcinogenic agent. So it's really good.
Yeah. I really want us to stay on this part about diet, because it's something like you already mentioned, something we can do, we can work on, something we can do, we can do something about, right? Processed food, or foods that let's talk about foods that are rich in fiber. Now, where you and I come from, we know that we eat tozafi a lot, our millets, and then also sometimes we use maize. Unfortunately, and of course, even our rice, we know the kind of rice, the brown rice that we used to eat. Unfortunately, what we are eating now, the polished rice, even sometimes the shells of maize before it is used in making the flour for corn dough that eventually gets into our banku, our tozafi, and all others. What do you have to say regarding that?
In fact, diet has been found to be one of the major reasons why we are seeing more cases of colorectal cancer in sub-Saharan Africa. Diet. Gradually, our diet is changing to more refined, very fine carbohydrates. In the past, we took meals that had a lot of fiber. Very healthy diets, really good diets. But now we are eating less of high fiber content and eating very refined, carbohydrates.
Okay.
A lot of our the flour we use.
Yeah.
We don't get flour from wheat. Take a lot of refined flour. And those are the things that will give us less bulk.
Okay.
And once you don't have bulk,
Okay.
it means that things are going to stay in your intestines for a very long time. For a very long time before they are excreted, and that's a major problem. So I mean, the pastries, the pizza, bread, lots of those things really are not very good in reducing your risk of developing colorectal cancer. So I mean, diet is something that we need to pay attention to, because we can really do something about it. So I mean, when you go to a shop to buy, you should be interested in how much fiber is in this for this particular ingredient, that item that I'm buying. We should be interested in things like that. We should check the fiber content of our meals.
If you are just tuning in, this is ỌDADEƐ Health Matters live here in the studios of ỌDADEƐ Radio, and I'm seated here with a distinguished guest. I almost said ỌDADEƐ again. Dr. Leslie Isa Adam Zakaria, who is a specialist surgeon with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital with a keen interest in colorectal cancer, here today educating us, enlightening us, and informing us of colorectal cancer. And we've actually spent a good deal of time talking about diet as a risk factor for developing colorectal cancer. He's informed us about the need to eat high fiber diets, or eat foods that contain high fiber. And which are these foods? We are talking about the wheat, we are talking about the oat, we are talking about millet, we are talking about maize that have not had its shells taken off. We are talking about, he's also mentioned fruits and vegetables. We are talking about the beto, the ayoyo, the kontomire, garden eggs, cabbage, lettuce, everything. I mean, those are the ones that are healthy and have been found to decrease one's risk of developing colorectal cancer. I don't know if there's something more you wanted to say regarding the diet.
Basically, I mean, you've said it all. Once we focus on eating meals that are high in, I mean, like fufu, banku, kenke, acheke. I mean,
so our local diets,
are healthy. It's just that when we replace them with a lot of westernized diets, then we have a problem. I mean, if you want to eat pizza, for instance, you should be interested in what kind of flour is used in making the pizza. I mean, you should be interested in things like that. If you're going to take a burger, you should be interested in what flour they are using in preparing the bread, the kind of bread we buy. We should be interested in all these things because I mean, if you are unfortunate to eat a lot of these things, then you should be interested in the quality. And the quality for our purposes is in getting one that's rich in fiber, basically.
Foods that are rich in fiber definitely reduce one's risk of developing colorectal cancer. Now, having known what colorectal cancer is, what the risk factors are, what we can do to reduce our risk, or some of the protective factors that we have, I want us to know, for someone out there listening to us, what are the typical symptoms, what are the typical signs that one should look out for with regards to colorectal cancer?
Thank you very much. In fact, anytime we are discussing this, the first thing I see that I really want everybody to remember is that most of our patients who have cancer for a very long time will not show any symptom or sign. Nothing. They are asymptomatic for several years, and they can have the cancer and not know they have a cancer for a very long time. And we wish we could diagnose the disease at this stage where they don't even have any symptoms. So a lot of people are roaming around, they have a cancer, but they are not aware they have a cancer. So we should be mindful of this category of people before we start mentioning symptoms and signs. The most important one is that a lot of people don't show anything for a very long time. They don't have any problem for a very long time. And those who begin to show symptoms of the disease would show very mild symptoms. Or would develop very, very mild symptoms. Something like a discomfort. Somebody tell, oh doctor, I've noticed these days I have a discomfort in my lower abdomen. Or when I eat food, I have some discomfort on the right side, on the left side, or in the middle somewhere. There's a discomfort.
Yeah.
People have come in like that, and we've investigated them and found out that they have colorectal cancer.
Wow. From something as simple as discomfort in the lower part of the stomach.
Just a discomfort.
Okay.
Some will come and tell that they've noticed a change in their bowel habits.
Okay.
So maybe in the past, they pass stools once a day.
Okay.
They've noticed that these days it's once every 2 days or once every 3 days, and it has become regular, and it's not going back to what it used to be. Or it keeps changing. They're not seeing. They don't.
There's no pattern to it.
Exactly. They are losing their normal pattern. Now that change alone could be enough to draw our attention to colorectal cancer.
Okay.
Just a change in the habit. So somebody tells that, in the past, even to the extent that the change in the caliber of the stool can be an indication that you are developing colorectal cancer.
When you say caliber, what do you mean? So
let's say in the past you could tell that the size of the stools that you pass. Notice that these days it is smaller than what you used to pass. You should be worried about that. Don't overlook things like that. Once you notice a change in your bowel habits, you need to talk to us. Okay. Some present with bleeding.
Okay.
It could even just be once.
Okay.
One episode of bleeding per rectum. They pass stools and they see blood. Or they go to pass stools and they see blood. Or they wipe and they see blood.
Okay.
This could be an early warning sign that you have colorectal cancer. It could be an early warning sign that you have colorectal. Some will tell you that, these days I've noticed that my abdomen has become very noisy.
Okay.
We call it boborrhea. Notice that it has become very... I don't.
Yeah.
It's not usual. It's not usual of me at all. These days, it has become very noisy.
Yeah.
You should talk to your doctor.
Okay.
Others will tell you that when they eat, they have an epic pain in their upper abdominal area.
Okay.
Well, they don't think that is usual. Yeah, very mild.
Yeah.
These are early warning signs.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, a lot of people would overlook these early warning signs until the disease has advanced to the stage where they really have signs and symptoms of advanced disease.
Yeah.
Like constipation, they have difficulty in passing stools. Find it very difficult to pass stools. In fact, there was a patient who came hospital, and his reason is that he uses a public toilet.
Okay.
And there's somebody at the public toilet who sells an enema.
Okay.
And the lady who sells the enema drew his attention to the fact that these days he's using more enema.
Wow.
Because the quantity he used to buy
before,
he's increased. And she's even noticed that he's even requesting for more and more and more.
Wow.
That was why he came to hospital.
Diagnostician at the community level.
Yes, and when we did the investigation,
impressive.
The gentleman had colorectal cancer.
Wow.
Yeah, so very subtle changes, things that you might overlook, could just be early warning signs. So, but if unfortunately you miss them, you come in late with constipation. Some come in when the cancer has spread into your intestine, into your bladder, and now you have feces leaking into your bladder. And when you urinate, you see particles in your urine, or you even feel like there's air and bubbling out of your coming out with your urine. You know, in females, sometimes they wait till cancer has spread into your vagina, and you have feces leaking into the vagina. These are very late presentations. We don't expect anybody to wait and come to hospital at that stage. We want people to come in for screening. We want people to come in at the least opportunity, at the smallest change, earliest change it should come, so that we diagnose the disease early. So
there was a patient I remember you taught me about. I think the patient basically said that when he walks more, he gets tired, he has palpitations, as in he feels his heart beating very strongly. He had not seen any obvious blood in his stools, but it turns out this man was actually bleeding.
Exactly.
He had occurred blood.
Exactly. There's this popular saying that any man or woman who is postmenopausal, who is postmenopausal and has anemia,
Okay.
which you cannot readily explain, should think about colorectal cancer.
Anemia mean low blood levels.
Low blood levels.
Okay.
You don't have your blood levels are low,
Mm.
and the person is not bleeding. You don't know where the blood is.
Yeah.
Think about colorectal cancer.
Okay.
So anybody who has unexplained anemia, you could also have weight loss.
Yeah.
Notice that you are losing weight, but you are not on any diet. You don't intend losing weight. You are not on any program to lose weight, but you've noticed that you are losing weight, or people around you have started passing comments like, since you are losing weight.
Yeah.
Now, once you have that, you should don't take it lightly.
Yeah.
Talk to a doctor.
Yeah.
It could be colorectal cancer.
Yeah.
It could be colorectal cancer.
Mm.
You go to hospital, you have anemia, you are eating well, you are not bleeding, but the labs show that your blood levels are dropping. You should think about colorectal cancer and talk to a doctor about it. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much. If you are just tuning in, this is ỌDADEƐ Health Matters. We have been discussing colorectal cancer, and the theme basically is that our title for today, the colorectal cancer screening saves lives. We'll be talking about screening in a bit. I would want to go on a quick break to acknowledge our sponsor, and when we return, there's more to be discussed. We actually have here a specialist surgeon by the name Dr. Leslie Issa Adam Zakaria, who works with the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital. Today is educating us so much about colorectal cancer. He's told us what colorectal cancer is. He's told us the risk factors, and I would want to reiterate and mention and re-echo them for you who is just tuning in. So basically, the risk factors include diet, so people who consume inordinate amounts of red meat, and by red meat we mean meat obtained from mammals and also birds that are not capable of flying, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So we're looking at beef, we are looking at chevron, we are looking at pork and all the others. We are looking at sausage, processed meat, corned beef and all the others. These are usually food substances that increase one's risk of developing colorectal cancer. It's also mentioned the fact that foods that are low in fiber also increase one's risk of colorectal cancer. In the converse, foods that are rich in fiber can be protective against colorectal cancer. He's spoken about overweight and obesity being a major risk factor for developing colorectal cancer. He's spoken about inordinate intake of alcohol being a risk factor for developing colorectal cancer. He's spoken about sedentary living, lack of physical activity being a risk factor for colorectal cancer. And he's spoken about smoking as a risk factor for developing colorectal cancer. A very important point you also mentioned is that there are also some risk factors that you can't do anything about. And so for such people, it's always important that you come for screening because you are at a higher risk. There are people who have familial risk factors. There are people who have this disease condition running in the family. It may not just be colorectal cancer. It could be a gynecological cancer. It could be an ovarian cancer. It could be an endometrial cancer, or any cancer for that matter. If you have any family member who's had this cancer, it is important, it is imperative that you see a doctor. They will assess your risk and then see how you can be screened to always ensure we pick up the diseases at the early stage. Now, to recap the symptoms and the signs, that most of the patients that you often see, or even most of the patients that have colorectal cancer, do not have any symptoms whatsoever. So yes, we'll be talking about screening, and it's the reason why screening can and usually saves lives. It's spoken about unexplained anemia, especially in the elderly. You need to work that patient further and find out what the cause is. It's spoken about a change in your bowel habits, a change in the way you go to toilet. Initially, you used to go once a day. Now it suddenly changed. Either you're having diarrhea or you're having constipation, whichever one it is, or you hear abnormal sounds in your stomach or a discomfort in your stomach. Please make it a point to present to a health facility for investigations and for diagnosis. I don't want to go on a quick commercial break. When we return, we'll be talking about complications, we'll be talking about screening, we'll be talking about so much more. So don't change the dial. We would be right back.
There's a place in your heart.
ỌDADEƐ Radio. Like us on Facebook at ỌDADEƐ Radio. Follow us on Instagram and Twitter at ỌDADEƐ Radio. You can WhatsApp or call us on 0200-092925.
There's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow.
Agriculture plays a crucial role to our country's development with a huge contribution to Ghana's GDP whilst providing for our food needs at the same time.
They should know that agric is the backbone of every country. Honestly, you began by giving us the percentages, but it used to be 70% that agric contributes to the economy. It's because of certain lapses that has made a figure decline.
I don't know why they see farming as a bad occupation, because in other developed countries, they take agric very seriously and they make a lot of money out of farming. They use a lot of modern technology to improve their yield, but over here, we only see it as the use of certain man-made or small implements such as cutlass and hoe, which don't really do much. If you want to go into mass production, which will bring you a lot of money, you use a lot of modern technology that will help improve the yield.
Time to put the spotlight on agriculture value chain in Ghana on Agric Panorama on ỌDADEƐ Radio. Agric Panorama is a radio program that is aimed at creating a unique platform for all farmers, traders, processors, transporters, wholesalers, and all other actors within the agric value chain. Agric experts, policymakers, students in agriculture, and other stakeholders as they participate in a panel discussion to unravel all that matters to improve agriculture and agribusiness sector, which is the backbone of Ghana's economy.
It's beneficial to the country in the sense that renowned companies in this country, the products these companies bring out are from agric, or the raw products are from agric, which has been processed into finished goods.
With agric, as I was coming, I wanted to do biology, but my grandfather was the person who told me that, why don't you try agriculture? Because I'm a farmer, and look at where I am. So you can also try agriculture, and then you can see how far you go.
Agric Panorama will be broadcast live from the studios of ỌDADEƐ Radio online every Saturday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. You can listen and contribute to this program via the Zeno FM radio app or ỌDADEƐ Radio app from the Google Play Store or App Store. Also watch it live on YouTube or Facebook at ỌDADEƐ Radio or ỌDADEƐ Radio Ghana. ỌDADEƐ Radio, shine the light.
The Education Standpoint is a radio program only on ỌDADEƐ Radio. The program intends to bring together all stakeholders in the education spectrum of the Presbyterian Boys Secondary School to a live studio discussion on all the topical issues in education and help put to proper perspective the views from standpoint of all stakeholders. The Education Standpoint will also help guide the school and create a better understanding for administration, students, teachers, parents, the church, and the alumni. Tune in to Education Standpoint exclusively on ỌDADEƐ Radio online Thursdays 2 to 4 p.m. and a repeat broadcast on Saturdays at 9 a.m. I am Reverend Emmanuel Ambrose Asamoah, an ỌDADEƐ former teacher, former student, educationist, counselor, and will be your host on the Education Standpoint. Please do make a date with me.
What does the Bible say? And what sort of light does it throw on any life-related issue? John chapter 1 verse 5 states, "And the light shineth in darkness, and darkness comprehended it not." Light for Life is a Christian panel discussion program on all life-related issues and how the Bible helps us in its day-to-day application. Beloved, my name is Reverend Godwin Kwashi, and I invite you to join me and my guests on the Light for Life program on ỌDADEƐ Radio online this and every Sunday from 6:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. I trust that as we engage in this Light for Life program, we'll all be able to say to our God, "In thy light we shall see light." God richly bless you as you tune in.
I don't know what I would do without him. Whom shall I fear?
You are welcome back. If you are just tuning in, this is ỌDADEƐ Health Matters live here in the studios of ỌDADEƐ Radio. ỌDADEƐ Health Matters, this is where we educate, this is where we inform, and this is where we enlighten you all the topical health issues going on around the world. And yes, March was the month of colorectal cancer awareness creation. And as for Daddy Health Matter, I haven't spoken about it. We want to echo it again in the month of April. Today, the 5th of April, 2023, we want to bring to your doorsteps again what colorectal cancer is, what we can do to reduce the risk. And so this afternoon, I have with me in the studios a specialist surgeon with a keen interest in colorectal surgery, colorectal cancers, I should say. And yes, of course, general colorectal surgeries, including hemorrhoids and all that you can think about. Currently with the surgical department of the Korle Bu Teaching Hospital, there's someone with vast experience in various health facilities at various levels of healthcare in Ghana. He's worked at the Prestige Government Hospital, at the Fian Kwanta Hospital. He's worked at the Ghana Ports and Harbour Authority Hospital. So many places. And he happened to be my boss one point in time, continues to be my boss, and continues to be a big brother who continues to guide and direct me in so many aspects of my professional and other aspects of my life as well. So yes, we are discussing colorectal cancer. This is ỌDADEƐ Health Matters. You are listening to us live via our ỌDADEƐ radio app, Zeno FM radio app. That is Zeno FM /ỌDADEƐ radio. It is also being live streamed on YouTube and also our Facebook page at ỌDADEƐ Radio Ghana. On YouTube, we are at ỌDADEƐ Radio. On Instagram, we are at ỌDADEƐ Radio. And on Twitter, we are at ỌDADEƐ Radio. So basically, at ỌDADEƐ Radio on all social media platforms. You can send us a comment, you can send us your questions, your views, and your suggestions, and we would attend to them. We have our number, which is 02000 92925. Yes, I'll take the number again, 02000 92925. And you're outside Ghana, don't forget to add the country code +233 2000 92925, and our studio line 030 255 1014. So send your questions. Dr. Isa Leslie Adam Zakaria is willing and ready to answer every one of them regarding colorectal cancer. Just before we go on, I would want to send shout outs to our very own, my very own, I mean, it's everyone's very own former headmaster ỌDADEƐ, Reverend Emmanuel Ambrose Asamoah. I don't know if I should add a nickname. Yes, ỌDADEƐ Pola. Kindly forgive me, sir, but everyone knows you by that. He was very instrumental in our lives when I was in Presec between 2000 and 2012. Lovely father, strict, but also caring. I remember the excuse duty you gave me from groundswork because I came back to school late after vacation. And of course, I had my reasons and he totally understood me. But if you misbehaved ỌDADEÄ, Reverend Emmanuel Ambrose Asamoah was someone not to spare the child. I think he celebrated his birthday a few days ago. We want to use this opportunity to wish him the very best in life. We pray that you continue to live long, to enjoy the benefits and the blessings that you give to us as students of Presec Legon. Now go back to colorectal cancers. And like I already mentioned, Dr. Leslie Isa Adam Zakaria, a specialist surgeon, who has already told us what colorectal cancers are, what the risk factors are, what the symptoms and signs typically are. Would want to go on to discuss the potential complications of colorectal cancer. What are some of the complications that can often arise from someone having colorectal cancer?
Okay, thank you very much, my brother. So, normally complications, we don't want to get there, but I mean, sometimes it's inevitable.
Yeah.
So the cancer, like I said earlier, means that the cells are growing out of proportion.
Okay.
So once they start from one layer, the inner layer of the intestines, of the colon or the rectum, they grow. If it's not identified early and treated, it means it will continue to grow gradually. It will grow into nearby structures like the bladder, like the uterus, like the kidneys, the ureters, the vagina, things like that. They can grow even to the abdominal wall.
Okay.
So they continue to spread, and then they can spread to distant structures like the liver, like the lungs, to other parts of the body. They can spread all over. So that's one of the biggest problems. And when they happen like that, they can cause intestinal obstruction. So which means that now whatever you eat cannot
go through.
Cannot go through to get to the anus.
Okay.
Or sometimes they bleed a lot. So I mean they bleed a lot. patients become anemic, they
Yeah.
lose so much blood.
Okay.
When they spread to the liver, some could develop liver failure, some spread into the bladder, you have a lot of infections in the urinary system, or they can even block the urinary tract, so you have a lot of accumulation of fluid and it can affect the kidney function. So yes, you can lose your kidneys, you can lose your liver, you have respiratory problems, could bleed, and ultimately you will die.
Ultimately one would die if colorectal cancer is not picked up early and treated. Yes, these are complications that are there, and these are complications we usually don't want to get to. It is the reason we are spending this afternoon discussing what colorectal cancer is and what we can do to reduce our risk. Now there's something we've already spoken about, but I would want us to, I think it should be the crux of our discussion. I would want us to hammer on it again, so that for people who are just tuning in, and even for those who listened, they'll get the opportunity to hear it again. Are there any lifestyle measures or changes that one can put in place to reduce one's risk of developing colorectal cancer?
Oh yes. Like we mentioned earlier, the diet is extremely important. I mean, we cannot overemphasize it. The diet is extremely important. We should take meals that are low in red meat and high in fiber, rich in fruits and vegetables, and with very low amounts of fine refined carbohydrates. Those things are protective. We shouldn't take in alcohol excessively. Shouldn't smoke. And we should be active physically. Sedentary lifestyles are dangerous, so we must be physically active. We must be deliberate about our exercise plans and strategies. We should be deliberate. We should have a plan. We should have a program that guides how often we exercise and all that. And we should be active. And active lifestyles are good. So basically, these are things that we should do, and we should control our weight. I mean, we should try. We should try to lose weight. If we are overweight or obese, we should try to lose some weight. And I mean, there are other benefits, but for the purpose of the discussion, because of colorectal cancer, it is an advantage to try and lose weight if you are overweight or obese.
Okay. Thank you very much. So these lifestyle measures enumerated by ỌDADEƐ. Okay. I think at this point, I'll just add ỌDADEƐ. Yes. Yes. Dr. Leslie Adam Zakaria, these lifestyle measures enumerated are lifestyle measures that have been enumerated time and again right here on this network. I remember ỌDADEƐ, Dr. Ernest York mentioned these when we were talking about diabetes mellitus. I remember Dr. Akama, Joseph Ati Akama, also mentioned this when we were talking about heart diseases. We also spoke about this with Professor Edemagama. I mean, losing weight, make sure you have a good weight, you live a healthy lifestyle, make sure you don't take excessive amounts of alcohol, stop smoking completely, exercise, increase the amount of fruits and vegetables that you take. These are the very lifestyle measures Dr. Adam Zacharias mentioned again that have been proven to be protective and to reduce one's risk of developing colorectal cancer. I want us to go ahead and then talk about treatment or management. But even before then, can we talk about what is key in our title, screening, saving lives?
Exactly.
What do you have to say about screening?
Yeah, thank you very much. So, like I said earlier, a lot of our patients don't show any symptoms. And colorectal cancer is one of the few cancers that we consider to be very slow. To become very slow. I mean, it takes the disease a very long time. Some say even up to 20 years. For it to undergo a lot of transformation to become cancer. And during that period, you can pick it up. They initially, a lot of them, about 95% of them, 95% present as polyps. So these are excessive growth of tissue, but it's not a cancer. It just grows excessively, and it stays at that new size. It doesn't grow out of proportion or out of control like a cancer. It grows excessively at some point and stops. Just an excessive growth, and it's not a cancer. Now it can stay like that for several years, 15 years, 20 years before it becomes a cancer. So colorectal cancer gives you good opportunity to pick it up early to pick it up even before it becomes a frank cancer.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So screening.
Yes. So screening will pick up these lesions.
Okay.
You see, screening will pick up these lesions. There are a lot of people who we diagnose, and you cannot identify any risk factor apart from the fact that they are men or they are growing older. They might not even know that there's a family history.
Okay.
Family history is a very difficult thing to tell because you might not even know. Some people don't even know all their family members. So you can make a diagnosis of colorectal cancer in a patient who is younger than 45.
Okay.
Who doesn't have a family history of cancer.
Okay.
Who has never seen blood in their stools. Who is an athlete, a very active person.
Yeah.
Very active person. Does a lot of physical activity.
Yeah.
Doesn't smoke. Doesn't drink excessive amounts of alcohol. Doesn't eat a lot of red meat.
Okay.
In fact, even vegetarians develop colorectal cancer.
Mm.
So, even though we've identified some risk factors, it is not absolute.
Okay.
So, and this is because we don't know exactly what causes it.
Okay.
So, the best management strategy in dealing with colorectal cancer is screening.
Okay.
Because that's the only one that can let you pick it up early and deal with it.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can do to prevent you from getting it. It's not like there's a vaccine you can take and know that, oh, you are covered.
Yeah.
It's not like that. These lifestyle modifications we are talking about just reduces your risk.
Okay.
But they are not absolute.
Okay.
So the best bet is in screening. You screen, we pick up any lesion, we deal with it.
Okay.
If it's a cancer, regardless the stage, we have treatment.
Okay.
We have treatment that could be curative or palliative, but with treatment. So the most important thing in the preventive measures or the management is screening.
Okay.
Because screening gives us good opportunity to pick up the lesions early, to pick up things that we know can lead to cancer. But once we pick them up early, we can deal with them.
Okay.
So the importance of screening cannot be overemphasized. Screening is critical in dealing with colorectal cancer. Screening is critical. We advise that anybody who attains the age of 45, you should try and get a colonoscopy.
Okay.
That is the main screening modality, colonoscopy. Now, if there's colonoscopy is done and we don't find any problem, we say that your next appointment for colonoscopy is in 10 years.
Okay.
And it's 10 years because we know that colorectal cancer takes a very long time. So you can imagine it's a very gentle and very slow disease.
Yeah.
Until it has established itself. It's everything about it is very slow. So we have 10 years. But if for any reason we find anything that we think that you will need to have screening more often, we'll let you know. But everybody is advised that
for
once
the
you
average risk individual.
Exactly. Once you hit 45, you should come for colonoscopy.
Okay.
And your next appointment is in 10 years if there's no problem at all. If you've ever seen blood in your stools, even if it's once, you need to come for screening. If there's a family history of colorectal cancer, you need to come for screening. So it's important, at least you do the screening and we advise you based on the results of the screening. Screening is extremely important. I mean, we cannot overemphasize the importance of screening.
So this colonoscopy, what exactly does it entail?
So it's yes. So colonoscopy means that we are passing a scope, what we call a scope. The scope has a camera and a light source. It's a long tube with a camera and a light source at the tip, which you pass through your anus to look into your
the intestine,
inspect your rectum and then your colon.
So
it's appropriate because it gives opportunity to inspect the whole of the colon and the rectum. So if there's any abnormality anywhere, we can pick it up and we'll take the necessary action. So, and it's not, a lot of people get anxious or are scared of the procedure, but it's not scary at all. I mean, it's not a difficult procedure. You walk in, have the procedure done, and then you go back the same day. You don't stay in the hospital. Usually we give medication to sedate you, to make you more comfortable, relax, so that you don't really experience the discomfort of the procedure. Some sleep, and then they wake up, procedure is done, and they go home. The only challenge about it is that because we are inspecting under direct visualization, we need to wash the intestines. So we'll give you medication to prepare the bowel, so to get it clean of all fecal matter, so that if there's any lesion there, we can easily see it. So that's the only challenge. So I mean, the night before the procedure, we'll give you medication to take. We'll have some what looks like diarrhea because we are washing your intestines, and then in the morning of the procedure, you come, we do the procedure for you, and that's it. It's quite straightforward.
That should not even be a challenge, especially for Ghanaians who like what we call sa. They like to say they want to wash their bowel, they want to wash their stomach of all impurities. So it should actually be motivation for you. If you actually do want to wash your stomach, your intestines of all the bad things you've been eating, there is an opportunity for you. If you need to do a colonoscopy, you come. They'll give you a medication the night before to wash out all the feces and all the other unwanted substances, to enable them directly visualize and inspect your rectum, your colon, and all the other parts, to ensure that, one, there isn't colorectal cancer, or two, there aren't what we call pre-malignant lesions, or even things that you see there that could change to become colorectal cancer in some years to come. So he said colonoscopy is the mainstay of screening. It is the main way in which we use to tell. So if you're about 45 years, please go get a colonoscopy done. And the next time, especially if you're average risk and nothing was found, the next time you do another colonoscopy will be in 10 years. If something was found and there's a need for more frequent screening, you would be informed. And yes, the Kolebu Teaching Hospital has an array of colorectal surgeons. I know there are a lot of them in Komfo-Anokye Teaching Hospital. There are a lot of them in various hospitals, at the Greater Accra Regional Hospital, in the Tamale Teaching Hospital, Ho Teaching Hospital, not just the teaching hospitals. The regional hospitals have a lot of surgeons there who are skilled at doing these colonoscopies. So yes, if you're 45 years and above, even if you are less than 45 and you've seen blood in your toilet before, please go and have a colonoscopy done, so that we can pick up anything and manage you as quickly as possible. So now that we've spoken about screening, that is trying to prevent and picking up early disease, we want to find out what the treatment modalities are for colorectal cancer. Is colorectal cancer curable?
Yes, I must say at this point that we have a very vibrant colorectal unit in the Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Okay.
This is a unit that has grown in the past 10 years. It has really grown
exponentially.
Yes, into a very vibrant center.
Okay.
We owe this to Professor Jonathan Dakubu and Dr. Bowen, who have helped in building the units to what it is today. Now, other doctors are trained in colorectal disease management and all that. And I can see that the center now has the capacity to manage all stages of colorectal cancer. And others have been trained who might not be in the units now by another hospital, who also have the capacity to manage colorectal cancer cases. So treatment is available. Treatment is available. In Ghana, we say it is unfair for anybody to suffer or die from colorectal cancer when we have adequate treatment for colorectal cancer. There are various modalities of treatment. We could give you medication for what we call chemotherapy. We could put you in a machine and give you radiations, what we call radiotherapy. There are other medications that we give, very special drugs that we give. And we have the surgical options.
Okay.
Depending on the stage of your disease, we could use combinations of these modalities of treatment. So treatment is available for colorectal cancer. In fact, treatment is readily available for colorectal cancer.
Okay.
Sometimes, depending on the stage at diagnosis, we will say that, oh, we are going to cure you of the disease, or we are going to give you palliation.
Okay.
It all depends on when the disease is diagnosed, the stage of the disease. Otherwise, there is enough adequate treatment for colorectal cancer, and no Ghanaian should suffer or die of colorectal cancer.
Treatment is readily available for colorectal cancer. It is unfair, and no patient or no Ghanaian should die of colorectal cancer. Those are the words of Dr. Leslie Issa Adam Zakaria, and he says this is thanks to a very vibrant colorectal team and colorectal setup that has been put in place in Ghana, in the Kolebu Teaching Hospital where he currently works. And we owe this to all the forebears, to all the people who have sacrificed and made this possible. Notably, he mentioned Professor Jonathan Dakubo. Professor Jonathan Dakubo, God bless you so much. And he also mentioned Dr. Bowen. God bless you all so much. And to all the surgeons in the Kolebu Teaching Hospital who have made this possible, who have set up these units and have ensured that colorectal surgery or colorectal cancer treatment is readily available. He's mentioned chemotherapy and radiotherapy. These are also readily available if you come to the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. They have a national center for radiotherapy, oncology, and nuclear medicine, where we have patients coming from all across Africa, people coming from Tanzania, people coming from Burkina Faso, all over to receive treatment. So it is unfair for any Ghanaian to die of colorectal cancer, especially with all the knowledge that has been given to us today by Dr. Leslie Issa Adam Zakaria. Screening is readily available, treatment is readily available, and colorectal cancer is curable if it's picked up at the very early stages. So make it a point to go for screening, and when it's picked up, follow up with the treatment modalities so that I can enjoy a healthy, happy, long life. Okay, now that we know that there's treatment available, surgical, also chemotherapy and radiotherapy, I want us to know what we as medical professionals, not just specialists like you, but also people in the district hospitals, people in the regional hospitals, at various levels of our health facilities, what role can we play so that we pick up these conditions early and reduce the burden that it often has on the population?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think for our part as health workers, we will need to have a high index of suspicion.
Okay.
Anytime we see a patient, we need to think, could it be colorectal cancer? We need to think about it.
Yeah.
We need to be aware that colorectal cancer exists, and it is very common. We need to be involved in awareness creation.
Okay.
We need to encourage people to come to hospital when they have these problems, symptoms, signs, anything unusual. You should pass by for it to be investigated. We should encourage people to adopt and accept screening.
Okay.
Screening is good. In fact, the difference between us and the West is that they pick up more cancers than us.
Okay.
But we in Sub-Saharan Africa die more from cancers than them. And the difference is because their cancers are picked up early and through screening. We pick their cancers because patients have developed a lot of problems, constipation, abdominal distension. Then they cannot pass stools. Then they come to hospital.
Which is really late.
It's too late.
Yeah.
So that's the difference. So we need to create more awareness. People should be encouraged to come to hospital. People shouldn't delay. Even if you want to try spiritual options or herbal options, at least still come to hospital so we are sure what you are dealing with.
Okay.
Let's make a diagnosis. Let's have a plan for you, and whatever you want, we can fix it. But the late diagnosis really doesn't help us.
Okay.
For health workers, we should refer cases early. Once you see a patient and you think that this is beyond the capacity of your facility, just refer the patient to a place where you are sure they can receive the best of care. And then I'm sure we'll be fine.
Okay, so this is to all the healthcare workers out there at the districts, at the regional levels, at various levels of our healthcare facilities. Have a high index of suspicion. The elderly man that comes with unexplained anemia, please make sure you work them further. If you don't have the capacity to investigate further, kindly refer, like Dr. Adam Zakaria has said, refer to a facility that has the capabilities and the manpower, the human resource to be able to investigate and then take on management from there so that we can reduce this burden. Now, having spoken about medical professionals, I want us to find out what role individuals honor in the medical profession, what civil society organizations, what corporate organizations, and what the government can do. What message you want to send out to all these groups of individuals, what they can do to help us in the fight against colorectal cancer?
Yeah, screening. I mean, if we have the opportunity to engage them in health talks, on Friday I was at a bank, and they created a very beautiful platform where our discussion was streamed live to the various branches. Yeah, that was a good initiative, and I really admired that. So just after work, you get to listen to important advice, you know. So I mean, if the platforms are created, we'll be ready to come and share information about colorectal cancer and give appropriate advice. People shouldn't be afraid of coming to hospital. You should walk in. I mean, the doctor is your friend. You should come to hospital anytime you have anything unusual. Don't hesitate. Come. And then for screening, I mean, once you hit 45, do a colonoscopy. And then whatever we find, we'll deal with. Colorectal cancer is not the same as hemorrhoids. So if you see blood, don't assume that it is hemorrhoids. It could be anything. Come to hospital. Let's deal with the problem. And then if there's a family history of any cancer at all, there are recommendations that get screening, and then whatever we find, we'll deal with.
Get screened. Sorry, if I may ask, is colorectal cancer one of the cancers on the National Health Insurance Scheme? And if not, I think then the government should be looking to do this.
Yes. So aspects of its treatment. Maybe the surgery is on health insurance. So aspects of the treatment. But for instance, screening for colorectal cancer is not on national health insurance. Colonoscopy is not on national health insurance. So, but if you go to a hospital where you need surgery for colorectal cancer and you have health insurance, you could benefit from it. But the complete treatment of colorectal cancer is not on health insurance. So it's aspects of it you can benefit if you have health insurance. But as a policy, we don't have a national policy guideline that says that colorectal cancer is on national health insurance scheme.
So you've heard it from Dr. Adam Zakaria. The corporate organizations, a bank just this Friday invited him to give a talk to the workers. So it is important that you take the health of your workers into consideration in all your corporate affairs. So yes, invite medical professionals to come and educate your staff on some of these common conditions so that they are not educated by quacks out there. Set up the platforms, encourage more medical professionals to come and have these discussions so that our population is enlightened, and as they are enlightened, they are empowered to be able to take decisions that would affect their health positively. We are getting to the very end of it. We've already had some questions coming in, and I would ask these questions before we draw the curtains on today's edition of ÖDADEÄ Health Matter. I know I've kept you here for long. You should be in theater now, but I mean, we've pulled you out of the theater to come educate our people. And like you said, it is very important because when we educate and we pick it up early, there wouldn't be the need for Dr. Adam Zakaria to be in theater every time. He'll be able to spend time with his beautiful wife, Mrs. Linda Adam Zakaria. Okay, so these are the questions coming in from our listeners. This one says, great job. It's been an enlightening discussion this afternoon. I've learned quite a lot about colorectal cancer. I have a question. I'm a 25-year-old and I saw blood in my toilet some time back. It's occurred again a couple of times. I was informed I have piles or hemorrhoids. I don't have a family history of colorectal cancer, or not one that I know of. Should I also go for colonoscopy? Should I go for screening? 25-year-old, am I at risk of developing colorectal cancer?
Yes. It's appropriate that you come to hospital. Would have to examine you, take a history, examine you, and then we investigate you. I mean, because of the age, if there is no other major risk factor, would want to operate on you based on what we find.
Okay.
So we'll still examine you, screen you, investigate to rule out any major risk.
Okay.
If there's any diagnosis or any
Other
condition
than
that
cancer.
yes, yeah, we'll pick it up. So we need to appropriately investigate. If we do a colonoscopy, or yes, we look in your colon and we don't find any problem, that's fine. We'll do it. It's safer to come to hospital.
Yeah.
And then we'll appropriately investigate. Commonly, the problem we find is hemorrhoids at that age.
Okay.
But it could be anything else. So let's properly investigate you. Let's make a diagnosis.
Yeah.
And whatever we find, we'll deal with appropriately. I mean, like I said, we have inadequate treatment for colorectal problems.
Yes, sir. So yes, there are other causes of bleeding per rectum or bleeding when you are passing toilet. Yes, but it's important you go to the hospital for adequate assessment. And don't think you are too young at 25 years to get colorectal cancer. Like Dr. Adam Zacharias mentioned, he has patients who are younger at 25 and all.
In fact, the youngest patient I have seen is 13 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
13 years.
Just last year. Yeah.
Wow.
13 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's important you get to the hospital so that they can have an evaluation of you, make sure that they rule out the sinister causes, and if it's one of those benign causes, they can adequately manage it for you. So whatever it is, even if it is hemorrhoids, piles, they are well equipped to even manage that as well. Our next question is also coming from one of our regular listeners. He says, thanks so much for the education this afternoon. It's been a joy listening to you, Dr. Adam Zakaria. Now, my question is, I am 67 years old and I have had a colonoscopy before. The experience was not so pleasant. I do not feel any pain, but the entire idea about a camera with a tube with a camera being inserted into my anus, it did not sit too well with me. I want to find out, are there other non-invasive ways of screening someone for colorectal cancer?
Yes. Thank you very much for the question. It's important. There are other ways of screening for colorectal cancer. Yes, but I mean, more expensive imaging, but we find colonoscopy as the most appropriate. For good reason. I mean, with colonoscopy, if we find a lesion, something in your colon, we could offer we could offer full treatment, or we could take a piece of it so that we'll send to the lab for the pathologist to give us a report on. If, let's say, we did what we call virtual colonoscopy, where we use a CT scan and prepare the bowel and do a special kind of colonoscopy with imaging, we'll find a tumor there. We don't know what it is. We'll still need to come back again
and do the
put a camera cut there and pick a piece of it to the lab. So that would be somebody's a waste of money, or just repeating what you could have avoided. So we think that for cost-effective reasons and for convenience, the best is to do the colonoscopy, so that anything that you find out, you easily pick up, you can deal with. You can pick a piece of it, or you can even treat people. In fact, the last time I did colonoscopy, a patient had polyps, 2 polyps, and at that same sitting, we're able to remove them with the colonoscopy. So it's very convenient. So sometimes the challenge is the process of inserting a machine in there. I mean, you give medication to relax, to sleep, and then by the time you are awake, we are done. And I mean, some people say quinine is bitter, but we still take it. Things like that. Let's weigh the benefits and the risk, and we'll find that the benefit of doing the procedure is far outweighs the risk.
Yes, so Dr. Adam Zakaria has just explained it very clearly. There are other non-invasive tests like the CT colonography that he just spoke about, other blood tests like the fecal immunochemical tests and all those ones. But yes, like he said, they are not as good at picking up the tumors, and also when you pick it up, the need for biopsies, taking it to actually find out what it is not present. So these are present, these are available, these tests are available, but they are not as sensitive at picking up the cancers. And even when you do pick up the cancer, being able to take out a sample to identify what kind of a cancer it is, to determine what management to give, is a bit cumbersome, and you may eventually need to undergo the colonoscopy. So it is better you just go with the colonoscopy. You be sedated, you not feel any pain, and at the end of the day, you go home feeling happy and being assured that you were screened and there was no problem found, or if a problem was found, immediate measures can be put in place. All too soon, we'll have to draw the curtains on today's edition of ỌDADEɛ Health Matters. But before we do, I would want to find out from him. This is a go-getter, ỌDADEɛ. I'm adding ỌDADEɛ. Dr. Isa Leslie Adam Zakaria is a go-getter. He was the president of the University of Ghana Medical Student Association in his year group. Beyond that, there are so many things he's done that I would not want to talk about on air. I want him to send a message to the current students of Presbyterian Boys Secondary School who are listening to us. What is your advice to the younger ones who are coming after us?
Oh, great. I think that in my time in the medical school, most of the school that had the most number of medical students was Presec.
Okay.
You have a great school. You have a great history. Those who came before you have done very well. Yeah. And the sky cannot even be the limit. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot of potential. And then my advice is that you keep working hard.
Yeah.
And then think outside the box.
Okay.
If your dreams don't scare you, it means the dreams are not big enough. You should dream big.
Yeah.
And once you are dreaming about it, you can achieve a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of potential. ỌDADEɛ has potential.
There's a lot of potential. If your dreams don't scare you, they are probably not big enough, or they are certainly not big enough. So dream big, think out of the box. Those are the words from Dr. Leslie Isa Adam Zakaria, a specialist surgeon with the Kolebu Teaching Hospital. When you came in, you said something about our studios. I want you to say it on air. What do you think about this setup, this beautiful setup? What do you think about it?
It's remarkable. I've admired it, and I'm still admiring it since I walked in. It's beautiful. It's really inspiring. I think that it's exemplary. Other schools and all students associations should consider something like this.
Certainly. Thank you so much. That is another epithet that we heard today. Remarkable. The last time it was astounding. So we keep hearing more and more. And all this is thanks to ỌDADEɛ 81. God bless you, ỌDADEɛ 81, for putting up this beautiful edifice and for setting up this wonderful radio station that enables us to illuminate and to shine the light like ỌDADEƐs always do. And we've been in the studios with Dr. Leslie Isa Adam Zakaria, a specialist surgeon who's been with us today, educating us, informing us, enlightening us on colorectal cancers. We want to say a very big thank you to you and to your beautiful wife and children for allowing us to spend time with you. And also to Professor Dakubo, who also made this possible. I've spoken to him earlier and he said, look, I would want to be part of this. And Dr. Leslie Isa Adam Zakaria is also very keen on these things. So yes, he should definitely come around. Professor Dakubo, we are grateful for all the wonderful things that you continue to do. We are grateful. God bless you so much. And all too soon, we'll have to draw the curtains on today's show. And until same time, next week we'll come your way again. It is thank you from the entire crew of ỌDADEɛ Health Matters, from our executive producers, Mr. Johnny Adufening, Mr. Eddie Kofi, from our technical producers, Mr. Michael Adadeɛ and Mr. Otu, from our host. I'm one of the hosts, the other host being Dr. Prince Samuel Newama, a big brother. We want to say thank you so much for always making time to be with us. God bless you so much. We'll see you next week, enlightening you, educating you on topical health issues. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye-bye.
There's a place, and I know that it is love. Place much brighter than tomorrow. And if you really try, you'll find there's no need to cry. In this place, you feel there's no hurt or sorrow.